Welcome back to Chapter 4. In this lesson, we are going to be working with Listviews. So if you've ever used an iPhone before, I guarantee you've used these. They're pretty lists where you touch them and they will scroll and show you different information. They're very pretty and very helpful. And we're going to use these with jQuery Mobile. So we're going to switch over to a different text editor, just one that's more convenient for what we're doing right now. You can do this in any editor though. So this is where we left off in Chapter 3. We had our wrapping div, our header, our content, and our footer. Now, we're going to keep the header and the footer the same for now. However, we're going to change this main content area, and what we want is a list of options, or this could be a list of links, or it could be a dictionary, anything you want. Now, the way we do this is we do UL. We're going to wrap a list view, of course, within an unordered list. Now, within this list item, and I'm using a bit of shorthand here if you're familiar with Sin coding, we're going to use list items, but each one is going to link to a different page. So I'm going to say, let's just keep it simple, and we're going to do 3 list items. They're going to have an anchor tag within each one. For now, they're not going to link anywhere, and we'll just give the values some text. This actual plugin is called SparkUp, and it's for a variety of editors, including Vim or Mac Vim. You might find that it's extremely useful if you're not familiar with that, so be sure to check it out or check NetTouch. We have a tutorial on SparkUp. Okay, so let's keep it like that. And the first thing we have to do now is if we run it in the browser like so, all you're going to see is just a list of links, but that doesn't look very pretty. It's not very mobile friendly, correct? What we need to do here is designate the data role custom attribute. So if I do data role, and it's going to be a list view. And what this does is when applied, it instructs jQuery Mobile to think, oh, this is a list view. We need to style the items within it somewhat differently. So now if we go back, ta-da! Now it's starting to look like an actual mobile app. And if I bring this down just a little bit more, you can kind of see where we're going here. This is how it would look on your iPhone. You can click each of these. They're not going to go anywhere yet because we haven't added that functionality. But now, with minimal work, this is why jQuery Mobile is amazing. By applying one custom attribute, we're already getting a much better looking app. But we can take this much further. So you've probably seen issues where you have headings within your list views. We call them dividers in jQuery Mobile. And the way you can do that is, let's add another one. And we're going to give this, again, a custom attribute. And this time, you got to tell jQuery what its role is. Each element should have a role. The page, the header, the content, the list view. In this case, we want this list item to be a divider. So I'm going to give it a data role of list divider. Now, because it's a divider, it doesn't need to have an anchor tag, so let's just give it a value of some new content. That's fine. So we have that. Let's go back, refresh the page, and now we get this new divider. So it doesn't look like much for now, but let's copy everything we have here, paste it in, and if we view it in the browser, now we have special list dividers, and we created this using data role equals list divider. Very simple, right? All right, we can take this further. You have the option of, if you've ever used an iPhone app, you know, sometimes the lists are long and they take up all the available space, like a big block. But you can also set it so that they're inset. And the way you do that is, again, by applying a custom attribute. And in this case, you would do data inset, and it's a boolean. You're going to set it to true. By default, it's set to false. And now watch what happens when we refresh the page. We get an inset view, as you can see right here, where it's kind of like a little bit of a container. And if I bring that down, look at this. We've done next to no work, and we have a cool looking app. Can you imagine how long this would take coding it from scratch? It takes a lot of work. Okay, so what else can we do here? Well, we can apply custom themes. So let's go back to our UL right here, and I'm going to set a theme, and this is using jQuery's theme roller if you're not familiar. Data theme, and they have A, B, C, D, and E currently. So let's set B, and if I refresh the page, now that's going to set these bars to blue. So it's just a helpful little group of classes that you can use. So if we set C, that's going to be a little bit different. D, mildly different. You may not even see on this resolution. If you set it to E, that's going to be kind of a yellowish color. Yeah, as you can see, like so. Come back, refresh the page. Now, if you want, you can even apply this. These themes can be applied anywhere. So if I want to apply it to the content div, you can see what's going to happen there is it's going to use a CSS3 gradients to apply kind of a yellowish gradient there. And again, let's just play around with a little bit more. There's A. That's going to be kind of a darker color. So you can even play around and do multiple. So data theme equals E. That's going to be a dark background with a yellow foreground. Very cool. So that's fine. Let's go something a little less intrusive, something like that for now. And we'll go up to the wrapper and set it to B. Yeah, that should be fine for now. Note that we're using an unordered list here. However, if we switch that to an ordered list, jQuery Mobile will automatically style these numbers nicely so it looks like it was made that way. But I'm going to undo that and we're going to go back. And now let's take a look at nested lists. This is an amazing feature that jQuery Mobile offers. So let's get rid of this one right here. And again, because this is a nested list will link to another page of options. So it doesn't need to have an anchor tag within it. So let's give it a value of cars, something like that. That's fine. Okay, so within here, we're going to nest a list. And here we'll do Honda. And then do Toyota and Ford. Okay, so if we view that in the browser, that code alone will instruct jQuery Mobile when it's nested, okay, we're not displaying anything here, we're going to link to it. So while these don't link anywhere just yet because we have just a hash as the link, jQuery Mobile will come across this and automatically write the code that'll put this within its own page. And now when I click cars, it'll link to a new page containing these options. Now, what you may not notice here though is that this is all Ajaxified, so we're not doing new page refreshes. So for example, if I go back, pay attention, jQuery Mobile uses hashes. So when I click on this, it's still going to stay on index.html. We don't have any other pages, but it's going to apply a hash, as you can see right there, and it uses the UI page. That's where it gets the value. Like so. And then when you get back in the browsers, it'll automatically use a scrolling motion on your phones or on the phones that support it. Now, before we finish up this lesson, I want to show you something very cool, and it's filtering. So you've probably seen a mobile app before where it just had an unending list of options. Wouldn't it be nice if you could filter those down to ones that maybe begin with a certain letter? jQuery Mobile allows you to do that immediately. So let's go up to our UL, and again we're going to apply a new one, and this one's going to be data filter, and it's a Boolean again, so we're going to set that to true. So that attribute alone is going to apply this custom styled search box at the top. So if we scroll this down, it's all going to say quite nicely, like so. If we come back, it'll still be there. So what this does, it automatically allows for the functionality that will filter this down. Now, it's not going to filter it letter by letter. For example, if I type O, it's not going to filter down the options that begin with O. It's going to search for all of the list items that have a value of O somewhere in. So in that case, we still have some O's within there. But it gets rid of cars because it doesn't occur. Now, if we do C, that's going to bring it down to cars, but only because no other word here begins with it. They're using JavaScript to filter this down in real time so you don't have to wait for a page to reload. So if I can say, okay, I want to look for everything that begins with or contains cars, there it is, and I can grab it like so. So with little work, we've learned that we can create list views. Now, if you got to remember, you cannot forget this, because if you do, you're going to end up with a nasty list of links. You have to tell jQuery Mobile what you're working with. In this case, data role, we're working with a list view. We've designated that we want it to be inset, which sets the list view to an inset, although you can set it to false, or better yet, just remove the attribute entirely because false is the default state, as you can see right here. But I do like the way inset does look. Next, we learned that you can apply custom themes using A through E currently to set nice layouts. So if you want kind of a darker view, and if we want the theme to be the same here, you can see with simply changing 2 letters, literally changing 2 characters, you can apply a completely different view to your layouts. Now do note though, jQuery Mobile is in an alpha state. So what this means is there's still some bugs. So for example, notice how here, how the border is all the way up here and it's not wrapping. That's an issue with some of the modern browsers. There are workarounds, but it looks like it hasn't been applied to jQuery Mobile Alpha just yet, but that will be fixed next year when it does become official. And then we learned how to set the data filter attribute to allow us to filter down if we need to. And then you learned how simply by nesting a list within a list item allows you to automatically link to a new page when you want to view more information. It's very, very helpful. So in the next lesson, we're going to continue on and see what else jQuery Mobile can do for us. Stay tuned.